Tefnut is the third Netta revealed in the Iunu myth. So why don't we know more about her? And if number has any significance, as the number 3, she's pretty high ranking. So let's dive into the Netta Tefnut and see what this Netta and number are all about. Tefnut's either represented as a woman with the head of a lion or in complete lion form. In human form, she usually wears a wig with a uraeus cobra wrapped around a sun disk that sits on top of it. And since both her and Shu were not born through the union of male and female principles, these symbols affirm her mystical connection to her grandfather Ra, hence her fiery solar nature. The lion too is a solar animal, with its face encircled by a golden mane like the fiery crown of Ra himself. A name is like a signature that sums up the person or object it portrays, and Tefnut's name is written with 4 hieroglyphs. We're already familiar with the first one, the half circle that scribes the path of Ra as he crosses the sky every day, which is where our basic concept of time comes from. The sound F is represented by a horned viper, a poisonous serpent that swiftly attacks to bite its prey in a decisive action that, like the passage of time, cannot be reversed. The hieroglyph embodies the intensity, vitality, and urgency of this primordial creature, which moves by the rhythmic undulation of its body, creating the shape of a wave, which is the next hieroglyph. The wave symbolizes cosmic energy in action, and in the spelling of Nu we saw it in its pure, incomprehensible state. Yet here its dualistic nature introduced by Shu is emphasized, alternating like the swing of a pendulum that regulates time for a clock. When placed before the letter F, it forms the word Neph, meaning breath. And by adding the letter R, it makes the word Nefer, whose symbol is a heart suspended by the trachea or windpipe. Since these two are not anatomically connected but serve as a vital function to keep the heart alive, F refers to the animating principle of the breath, rather than its physical or biological aspects. Breathing occurs in both space and time, so by placing a T at the beginning and the end of her name, it ends up right where it started, like the Ouroboros snake holding its tail in its mouth, symbolizing eternity. The T at the end also acts as a female determinative and further emphasizes how she encapsulates all time. Hence her name can be read as she who contains the vital principle of cosmic energy, or the sacred process of breathing. When a baby is born, the first thing it does is to inhale the breath of life. And breathing is a process that occurs in time. So the air the baby breathes in must already exist first. And this explains why Shu is the firstborn of the twins. And being a male principle, Shu is that which is contained, while the female principle Tefnut is the nose that contains it. As a cosmic law, Tefnut represents the abstract concept of all time. But on a personal level, your time is measured by your own breath, literally from your birth to your death. So Tefnut spans your entire lifetime here on Earth. I've mentioned before how both Netta and number were revealed simultaneously in the Iunu myth. So today I'd like to present a special tool that both proves this and also opens the doors to the abstract metaphysical realms, and it is the Cubit. The Egyptian unit of measurement was the cubit, which doesn't line up with our current measuring systems because its length varies. And that's because all sacred architecture was built in strict accordance with cosmic law, and each temple or monument served different sacred functions, so their linear dimensions were specifically tailored to that purpose. And while entirely governed by the harmonious proportions of sacred geometry, the cubit used for one project doesn't necessarily apply to another. So this is not a measuring tool like those we're used to. Look. Rather than showing numerals, the symbols for the letters are used to define each unit, and the first 9 are the ones revealed in the Iunu myth, with Horus representing the number 10. So to me, it shows that the cubit is not simply a ruler used to measure things, but it relates to the properties of the cosmic laws depicted on it. And it's therefore a metaphysical tool directly related to the Netta Mat, who represents obedience to cosmic law, to which the layout and proportions of any temple or other sacred object must be aligned. Starting with the dot and the circle, we have a tomb representing the number 1, followed by the ostrich feather of Shu for the number 2, and curiously a nose for Tefnut as the number 3. Now the only other connection I've heard of between a nose and Tefnut is that her name sounds like a sneeze, which is one explanation of how a tomb created her. But to me, that's a very weak argument. So let's look for another solution. Sacred geometry is a perfect way to deal with abstract concepts in a practical way while still retaining all of their magical and metaphysical properties. Let's start with a tomb as the number 1, represented by a dot, completely isolated and independent. Then Shu as the number 2 is represented by a line which has 2 ends and introduces duality and polarity. It also divides space. This brings us to the number 3, represented in sacred geometry by a triangle, which allows us to see this very well-known yet controversial image in a whole new way. The head of the Great Sphinx, framed by a triangular headdress, stands before the triangular eastern face of the central pyramid in Giza. There's still no agreement on when either of these were built, yet no one would disagree with the fact that both stand outside of time. And the connection between Tefnut and the triangle is made clearly manifest. So thank you for letting me share this information on the Netta Tefnut today, and please click the like and subscribe buttons to keep learning about the temple teaching. And you can also support the channel for just the price of a coffee by clicking on the link in the description below. It really helps us keep going here at Return to Cosmic Law, and as ever, thanks for watching.